Hey there, welcome back to eFishin. I'm Rodney. Today, you can see we're out here in the garage again, and had a little request to do this video, so we're going to get talking about how to do a little finesse peanut jig that we used on one of our Cumberland videos a couple weeks ago. So y'all hang tight and we're going to show you what's happening. Pot's getting hot, so y'all hold on. To get started on this, for this jig, we're going to use this Weedless banana mold from Do It Molds. On the inside here, it goes from 3/16 of an ounce up to a 1/2 ounce. And we're going to use the 3/16 side here. And what we're going to do, well, we've already done it, is we've put this RTV silicone in there because we're going to use a wire weed guard. Now to use for the wire weed guard, we're going to use this Marlin 7-strand uncoated wire, and it comes on this spool here. So what I'll do is I'll cut these sections off, and they're 2.5 inches long, and then from that 2.5 inches I'll just bend that wire in half and put this little 90-degree bend in it, just so the lead has something to hold on to and that thing won't pull out. Now for hooks, we're going to use this 3/0 Mustad 32 729 60-degree light wire hook. And that light wire hook is important for this peanut jig because often you're fishing that thing on 6 or 8 pound test line, and sometimes you're fishing it down there around 20 foot, 30 foot, somewhere in there. So you need a light wire hook to be able to get that hook set in that deep water. All right, here we are. I've heated this mold up and the lead pot's going, so here we go. Let's put our hooks in and see what happens. Now when you're putting these things in, that little leg on it, it helps if you just drop it straight down in there, and if you got a pair of tweezers, it helps kind of to move it in place. Right like so. Alright, can you see that right there, how that's all laying in there? Let's give it a shot. There we go. There's our peanut jig right there. Well, here we are. We're ready to start powder painting. So let's show you what all we've got. All right, here's what we've got. We've got our jigs. They're on this little stand here that we made, and that goes into our toaster oven later. We've got a heat gun. Got a pair of hemostats to hold the jigs while we're heating them up. And then we've got our fluid bed here. And I've got a two bed fluid bed thing here. And today we're just going to be using the brown to paint it. But if I want to do a two-tone jig, then I'll put a second color in the other one over there and rock and roll on. And then we've got just a little old air pump here. All right, so we turned the pump on. But on our fluid bed here, we've got this little nozzle here to control the air. So we're just we've got both of them turned off so we don't have any air going into any of our fluid beds. So we're just gonna start by turning that thing on slowly. You can see there, it just got a puff of paint air go through it. So we're just gonna stir this thing up. And we're going to shake it up there. And you can see how it just flows in there, and that's why they call it a fluid bed. All right, here we go. And I'll do these about 10 or 15 seconds on the heat. just rotate it around so it evenly heats, and then just take it and swirl it in. And if it's not all shiny, just put it back in the heat. And there you go. Got a nice powder painted jig head. That's going to be our powder painting of our jig heads. There it is. I don't know if I'm the best demonstrator of that or not, but it works for me. I don't paint hundreds of them, but if I was, this setup would probably work just as well. One tip I have learned on this is if you get the thing too hot and you get too much paint on it, then you're going to get them little nipples on the end. And heat it up, swirl it around in the powder paint. If it's all nice and shiny, heat it back up. That tends to be what I do, and it seems to get a nice coat on it, and you don't get any of those nipples. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to heat these things up and cure the paint in a little toaster oven, and then we're going to tie that jig up with the living rubber. So y'all hang on, we'll be right back when we get that done. All right, we've got our toaster oven ready to go, so we're going to put our jigs in here just like this. We're going to set this for 20 minutes and we'll be back when that's done. All right, our jigs are cooled off, are done. We're going to open this up, we're going to let it cool off, and then we'll get them back out. And the next time you see us, we'll be ready to tie one of these suckers up. We've got our jig head. Y'all can see that thing. It's just a little old peanut jig. And we're ready to tie the living rubber on it. So the first thing I like to do is take these wire weed guards and just bend them back a little bit just to get them out of the way. We're going to put it in the vise. And then we're just going to take our thread here. We'll take our thread here. And we're just going to lay a little bit of a base down on the shank of this thing. So that our rubber has something to bite to. And all we're doing is we've got to roll this round living rubber here, and we've cut a piece off, and we're going to use all of this. But what we're going to do to do this is we're going to take it and fold it in half and then just break it off until we got two pieces. So we got a top piece and a bottom piece. So to get started here, we're just going to layer rubber here, measure it out to where it comes past the hook shank just a little bit, and hold that on there. And then what I like to do is I like to take my thread and make sure that's on there even, and then just take that thread and wrap it all the way around, and then give it 4 or 5 good wraps on it. And then that's got that one side of your jig. And then I'll take my vise and rotate it around and lock it in place. All right, we're going to take our second piece here, and we're going to lay it down here on top here, and we're going to lay it here where there's this gap in, and we're going to fill this gap in with this piece of living rubber here. We're going to lay it down there. And just let that wrap around there to where it's all laying flat and everything. And then give that about 10 or so good wraps. on there. Now you could finish off, you could finish off with the knot and you'd be done, but I've got a little piece of orange here that I'm going to tie in there just to give it a little bit of an accent. So we're just going to turn the jig around to where it'd be on the bottom, and we're going to lay that little piece of orange in there, and we're just going to wrap it up. Right, like so. And then we're just going to take our little piece of fishing line here and just going to double it over like this. We're going to lay it down on here. We're going to give this 15 or 20 wraps. We're just going to cut our thread and pull our little knot through, our line through this little knot here. Like so. And then I like to just pull on it, make sure it's all tight, and cut the little tag end off and throw that away. And there's our jig. We just need to separate the rubber pieces. So you can just, well, you can just leave your jig in the vise. I guess I should have left it in there. But what you want to do is take a piece of rubber and just stretch it and then cut it. Stretch it and cut it with your scissors. And you just keep doing this until you get them all cut. And you still might have a few that you have to pull out by hand, but you just sit here and take your time and break them apart, or you can stretch them and cut them. And here's our little peanut jig, and then the last thing to do really is to fix your weed guard back the way you like it. And there we go. There it is. It's all ready to go fishing. So there you go. Give y'all a better look at that head. So I'm Rodney with eFishin. If y'all pick something up, make sure you give that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. We'll catch y'all out on the lake next time we're going to be fishing. We're out.